Medical staff carefully place newborn babies in mobile incubators on the Egyptian side of Rafah border. They were born in Gaza's Al-Shifa Hospital, which was seized by Israeli forces last week. A first group of 28 premature babies was evacuated on Monday and taken for urgent treatment. The babies have captured global attention since images emerged of them lying side by side on beds after their incubators were switched off for want of power. When doctors at Al-Shifa first raised the alarm, there were 39 babies. 8 have since died. Israeli troops are searching for what they say is a vast Hamas tunnel network built beneath the hospital. Lubna Assaik's baby daughter was recovering from respiratory problems when the hospital came under siege.
But during these 10 days, when the hospital was surrounded, there was no milk and she kept getting worse. She was back to zero, to living on oxygen again. And her situation was the worst out of all the babies.
The WHO also condemned a deadly assault on Gaza's Indonesian hospital. The complex was encircled by Israeli tanks on Monday. Reuters verified the location, but not the date of this footage. Like all other health facilities in Gaza's north, the Indonesian hospital has largely ceased operations, but is still sheltering patients, staff and displaced residents. Israel said it was responding to fire from inside. Meanwhile, at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis in the south, more children are brought in, injured in a nearby Israeli strike. The war was triggered when Hamas militants attacked southern Israel on October 7, killing 1,200 Israelis and taking 240 hostage. Israel has responded with a relentless bombardment of Gaza and a ground invasion, which the health ministry in the Hamas-run enclave says have killed 13,000 people.
Yesterday we received 31 cases arrived here from the Shifa Hospital neonatal ICU. On arrival, all the patients complain of hypothermia, hypoglycemia and severe malnutrition. A lot of cases after CBC result were found to be anemic and severely anemic. We found we would make urgent management to them all to be stabilized. This journey will be continued today to continue full management in Egypt, in the neonatal ICU in Egypt.
Premature and low birth weight babies, all of them seriously or critically ill, were successfully evacuated from Al-Shifa Hospital in northern Gaza to Emirati Hospital in southern Gaza. Of those 31, 11 or 12 are critically ill, all the others seriously ill. Each of them is either premature or low birth weight. Each of them has serious infections, and quite a few of them have a low body temperature. So they really do need detailed specialist care. Overnight, they received some antibiotics, supportive therapy, oxygen, and we're hoping that will help stabilize all of them. Today, 28 of the babies were evacuated to Egypt. They were met by a team of 10 neonatal specialists at the border and have now been moved to hospitals in northern Sinai, in Al Arish, and one group of the babies has been brought down to hospitals here in Cairo. So it's great to know that they've got that specialized care. There are 3 babies who weren't transferred today. We don't have the details on why they were not transferred, but we expect to get more information over the next day or two. They all are, again, seriously ill. They have a long road to go. It'll take a long time for many of them to recover, given their current condition. But we do understand they're getting very good care at this time. We will work with other partners, the Palestinian Red Crescent, UNRWA, and UNICEF will be following up to try and track down the parents. WHO does not usually get involved in those types of activities, but clearly we've worked very closely with those agencies. We don't go into family tracing. We don't have expertise in that area, but these other agencies do, and they will lead on those activities. So of the 31 that were transferred to Emirati Hospital, 11 or 12 are in critical condition. One of them was put on a ventilator last night, life support machine. They all are either premature or low birth weight. All of them have serious infections, what we would call sepsis, and a number of them have low body temperature. They are now receiving antibiotics. They are now receiving oxygen. They are now being rewarmed, being provided with nutritious food. And as I mentioned, one of them on a ventilator. It's difficult for me to say. I haven't read the individual medical records, nor have I examined the patients, obviously. But they are in serious to critical conditions. They've got a long way to go. We're cautiously optimistic they will do well, but we have to watch them very, very, very closely. They can still develop further complications and deteriorate acutely. They're not out of the woods yet by any means, so they will need that intensive care for some time to come. This is going to require the involvement of the Egyptian authorities, Egyptian social services, Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Similarly, on the other side of the border in Gaza, what social services exist, clearly with the support of the Red Crescent Society and perhaps UNICEF. Their legal situation, citizenship and so on, if their parents are never found, is going to be an issue that the legal people will need to address. I would continue to describe the humanitarian health situation as catastrophic. Our main concern is ensuring that the people of Gaza get access to healthcare, both urgent healthcare for the large number of traumatic injuries as a result of the war, and also other essential health services, such as obstetric care for the 180 odd women that are going to be delivering every day, particularly those needing a cesarean section or having a complication of their pregnancy. Similarly, we need to be providing care for those with chronic conditions, high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes. We're also extremely concerned about the risk of disease outbreaks because of the overcrowding. We've got over 1.5 million people displaced, very large proportion of them in these overcrowded, unsanitary schools and collective centres where there is limited access to clean water, where limited access to food. There is very, very, very poor sanitation, toilets overflowing, open defecation, and we're already starting to see increased rates of infections such as respiratory infections, diarrhea, jaundice now, suggesting possible hepatitis, childhood infections, terrible skin infections like scabies.